We're Jacob and Louise, and we're currently travelling around the UK in our self-converted Ford Transit camper van. But first, let's recap and tell the story of how we got here.
So, for anyone who remembers us, because we do have a few subscribers to this channel, you might recall that we had originally been traveling around America in a different van. That was a 2003 Dodge Ram van. That was our first van, which we didn't convert ourselves, but we did make a van tour video of that van, which got a surprising amount of views and a few funny comments, so you should definitely check that out if you haven't. Anyway, just to recap our adventures a bit, we spent 3 months traveling in that van in Mexico. We traveled through Baja, California, where we rescued our little puppy Gaydetta, who you'll be seeing a lot on this channel if you follow along. Took the ferry across to Mazatlan on mainland Mexico, and we went all the way to southern Mexico, to Oaxaca, where we eventually reached the mountains there and decided it was time to travel home. And then we decided to sell that van because we wanted to continue our van life adventures in the UK, which is why we have this new van.
So yes, we decided to move across the world to my home country of England and the United Kingdom, where we bought an empty Ford Transit cargo van and convert this one ourselves, because even though we loved our old van, there were a couple things in it that we didn't quite like and that we would have had done differently. So we thought, hey, if we convert our own van, then we get to put everything in that we wanted, which is both true and false. So we spent about 6 to 7 months over the winter of England converting this van into our new tiny home. Unfortunately, COVID did interfere at some point and Jacob had to go back to the US because of visa issues, but then in August of this year we were able to reunite in England and finish off the van, and then we set off in September on our UK adventures, and we hope to travel all the way through England, Scotland, Ireland, and then in 2022 go across to Spain and mainland Europe.
Right, so now on to our van tour video, and in future videos, our new van life adventures. Yay! Enjoy. Before we begin the van tour, we just want to talk a little bit about what to expect in this video. We really plan to kind of create themes surrounding our videos, and for me personally, a big theme for this van build was really avoiding perfectionism, and that's something we battled with greatly during this van build, because to be honest, we have a lot going in this van. We have electricity, it's fully cladded out with wooden cladding. We have a compostable toilet, and before we began this journey on building the van, we had no skills in carpentry, we had no skills in electrical work, we had no skills. So
in building we had other skills.
Yeah, no skills in building, other skills but not in van building. So while this van is really comfortable and homely and very livable, we're going to be showing you, and cute, yes, we're going to be showing you that side of the van, but we're also not going to hold back in showing you the imperfections of the van. And I think that's really going to help Louise and I here get over our perfectionism even more, because we're really proud of this van for it being our first van build, and we're excited to show you it all in its beautiful and perfect glory.
Oh, my leg just cramped. So we're going to start at the front of the van and work our way backwards. So the very, very front where we drive is kind of a bit boring. We don't really have much up there. We mainly just use it as like extra storage because we have these big jalopy cushions that we don't want in the back when we're relaxing. So it's mainly just where when we're relaxing in the back we throw, why are you so close? We throw all of our like extra stuff. So it's kind of like extra storage, and then we just hide it, pretend it's not there with these little curtains that we need sometimes. But anyway, so that's the front. Then we're moving into the kitchen area in this front section. So up here we have these doors covering the overhead compartment, which is a really nice bit of storage. We just put some it's called like van carpet around, and we just kind of store like Jacob's clothes and cooking stuff up here. But this is a nice extra bit of storage that we fully take advantage of. And
you did a great job at building these.
I built these by myself while Jacob was in the US. I built them with my stepdad and the help of my amazing granddad. We built these together and they turned out really well. I'm really pleased with them. Then over here we just have this little thing that we bought from IKEA. It's just like a shelf with a rail that we keep a load of like supplement stuff up there. And then these are just like kind of knickknacks. They have jewelry, a little lantern. We just keep knickknacks in those. But it's really handy storage space. And then we move into this kitchen area. This plant is our second plant because all van lifers will know when you get a plant, it will inevitably fall on the floor and soil will go everywhere. But
so how did we get that one to stay?
But this one, we have it in this little, oh, you stuck this pot down too. Okay, I didn't know about that. But we basically just got some double-sided tape and we just stuck this on here, so when we drive or do anything, it just stays there and it looks really nice, really cute. So now we have our sink, which we just mounted on top of this work surface, and we have this little faucet here. It's just pretty simple. Ignore the dishes, this is van life reality. But this is just a pretty simple faucet. It kind of like twists on and off like that. And then this faucet and the sink connect to the plumbing, which I will show you below. Down here we have this little door there, which connects to this foot pump. And inside here, we have these two 25-litre buckets. So these buckets have a pipe that goes into them, this blue pipe, and this blue pipe goes down and connects to the foot pump that I just showed you, and then that foot pump goes up and connects onto the faucet that I showed you on the top. And then this sink is just attached to this pipe that goes down into this, I'm not sure how big this tub is, but into this grey water bucket. And then when we want to fill up our water, we have a door here. So we can either just put a pipe going through into the water to fill it up, or we can just unhook these and take the jugs out to fill them up. And the grey water we just disconnect. And we can just tip anywhere. We use a natural soap, so we can normally just tip that down drains because there's no nasties in it, just water, essential oils and food scraps. So we have a really, really simple plumbing setup, but that's what we wanted because it's just easier to do and it really, really works so well. So as I mentioned, we have this little door out here that goes into where the plumbing is. It's a little bit chaotic because we have this hook that we keep all of our jumpers and things on. But if I just push those aside, you can see we have this neat little door here. When you open it up, you get access to the whole plumbing area, so we can like take the grey water out of here or take the jugs out or put a hose in to fill them up. So this has been really, really handy just to get an extra view of the plumbing setup and to be able to empty and fill things up really easily. So now we'll move over to this half of the kitchen. We have this trusty little basket, which you may have seen if you watched our other van tour video. It's definitely fallen apart now after 3 years. We just keep like produce and bits and bobs in there, but it's very handy. And then under here we have this part of the countertop lifts up, and we can just hook it with this little hook here into that little eye, and it holds it up nicely like that. And underneath we have our fridge, which is dirty, and this just kind of lifts up here. It has all of our food in. We cut this little indent out into this piece of wood and at the back so that the fridge lid could lift up and we could get it out. We're really, really happy with this fridge because in our old van we just had an ice chest and everything got covered in water, so it's so nice to have a compressor fridge. The only downside is having just like the big box thing, like so much stuff will be like at the bottom and sometimes it can get a bit messy to try and find stuff, but definitely grateful for it. And this just pops back down and we have the work surface there again. We just have another little IKEA railing here where we keep our towels, and a little pouch that keeps all our cutlery, lighter for the stove and things like that. Over here we have just the dog area. We keep like balls, poo bags, food, toys, treats, harnesses, everything in there. And then down in this bottom area we have this little cupboard here. In this dark and gloomy corner we just keep kind of like jars, the blender, Tupperware,
poultry
and things like that. And then we have this big crate we just keep like all of our dry stuff in, and that just slides nicely in there out of the way, and it's super easy because we can just pull it out and have a real good rummage around in it. And finally, the last bit of the front section is this little basket here where we just have our trash, rubbish and our recycling, which is really full right now. And then in this basket we just keep like a brush and stuff, the mirror, bin bags. So that is our front area, and so far so good with using it. It's working out really well.
So we get to explore perhaps my favorite part of the van, a place I spend a lot of time, and that's right here on this nice seat, which also happens to be a toilet. So this is a composting toilet. Don't hold your breath because we did cover all of our shit with toilet paper so you don't have to look at it. And we made all by hand, and we use composting material which we keep down in this little storage pocket. And if you also see, we have this switch which is a 12-volt switch, and it's actually an extractor fan. So it's on right now because it's a bit smelly in here, and it's really good at pulling the smell out of the van. Even with this open right now, none of the smell is actually getting released into the van. So one thing we really like about this toilet option is it was much more budget friendly. A lot of the compost toilets you can buy complete. They're very expensive. So we opted to learn how to build our own composting toilet. So just to continue with, showing you how it works, we opted to just put a couple holes in it so we can lift this out. You see that? Just lift this out, give it a little shake so we don't get any urine anywhere. And then you can have a quick look inside, and you can see how we have the bottle that catches the urine, because we do have a, what is it called, Louise?
A separate.
A separate, which separates urine. So we have the separate because a lot of people talk about how one thing that really causes a lot of bad smell is when the urine and the poo are together. So we wanted to make sure they were separate. We used just this wood to kind of create a stable place for both the bucket and the bottle to rest. So another simple thing, as we're kind of in the middle section of the van, to show you is something that most van lifers have, which is an extractor fan. So this is the Fiamma turbo vent. We opted for this. It was a bit cheaper than the Max Air fan, though since we are in the UK, it would have been nice to have a waterproof fan, but we don't. So we just twist this little handle to make the top open, and then we like the little control unit because it's easy to turn on. So right now it's working as a normal fan that's blowing in. You can use these little arrows to control the speed, and then now I'll switch it to extracting rather than blowing in. But it's nice on warmer days for it to blow in because it can really keep you cool. So now it's extracting. So whenever we're cooking or whenever Louise farts, I'll definitely pop this thing open and turn on the extractor. So we did install this fan ourselves. It wasn't too bad. When you follow the instructions, they give you the shape of the hole to cut out with the saw in the metal. Then you put the top piece in, and we decided to put the bottom piece over our cladding. So we did have to use an extender piece for the handle because there's quite a bit of distance there. I'd say 8 out of 10 recommend. It's only missing the 2 because it's not waterproof like the Max Air fan, but it is a bit less pricey. So moving across from the toilet over here, we have just kind of a place we use for cooking and as a work surface. It's quite nice when we're sitting here to just use it for things, but we mostly use it to put our stove on when we cook, as well as our propane tank. And yeah, it's just we decided to use a piece of our countertop and we cut it and we decided to use that as a top for this, and we've really been enjoying it. It's pretty schmick. So now you'll see we have a couple units here, and these two cupboards, two really important components of our day-to-day life in the van. So let's explore these. So we open this, and inside we have a place where we store toiletries and mostly Louise's clothes. This is just some evening stuff of Louise's. This is Louise's toiletries, which is really full, and my toiletry box is a lot less full. And then this is a little unit that we purchased from IKEA. It's really cheap. It was like 5 quid, and how much? 8 quid, excuse me. And yeah, Louise keeps her clothes in here. So on the side of this unit, we just keep a couple other clothing things. We keep our quick dry towels in here and some coats. And then we keep our Bluetooth speaker in there. This is just a decoration that we haven't hung up. Probably never will. So now what you can hopefully kind of see in the video, sorry we're in a bit of a confined space here, is we do have a Chinese diesel heater in the van, and some might call us foolish for this, but we have decided to take the risk and put the diesel fuel tank inside the van. It's just drilled to the side of this wooden unit, and so far it's actually really been working out. We do smell just a little bit of diesel fuel when we open this cupboard, but it's not really a big deal. So if you can see in the video, I'll just show you that we actually have this. How do you even lift this up?
Oh, you have to do it from the bottom.
Okay, so we do this from the bottom, but before I show you what's in here, I'll just say that we created this neat little perk where you can take this off and have access to our heater. And we have access through this cupboard. So we use this as a shoe cupboard, and we installed our diesel heater unit down here, and the heat is let out through this piping here, and we attached it right here, and this little thing's nice. We can twist around. So I just want to quickly show you how we actually fill up our fuel tank for the diesel heater. So we created this little door with the little hook that you just pull back. This little door opens, and you can see that this is the screw off lid for the fuel tank, for the diesel tank. So when we show up at the petrol station, we can actually just screw this off and take the hose and just carefully pop it right in there and fill up our diesel for the heater. So just to kind of slow down and make sure we talk about every part of the van, one thing a lot of people want to know about is, how did you create your walls? How did you create the structural component of the van? So we did fully insulate our van, and then for the walls we used cladding. We decided to use wooden cladding, and this is kind of an area where a lot of the imperfections I was speaking about earlier came in. So when you look at our cladding, ultimately what you'll see is a lot of gaps like this, and if you can see above here, there's just really big gaps and a lot of uneven meats. Like here's a very uneven meat, for example. So yeah, we weren't too happy at first with our job on the cladding. It's definitely nowhere near a professional job.
But it was hard.
But again, we had no experience prior in carpentry and wood cutting and woodworking. So we just really practiced not being hard on ourselves and accepting it for what it is. And yeah, living in it has been really comfortable. The insulation has been really holding up. We used about half of our insulation as insulation boards, and the other half was recycled plastic fluff, which seems to really keep us snug and warm in here. But yeah, just imperfect cladding, but it's all okay because it works, and the overall picture looks pretty decent. So yeah, I just wanted to slow down a bit and talk a bit about the cladding. And now you've heard a bit about it. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Shout out to Richie Lopez, my brother. It is what it is, man.
So now we are going to move into our bed area slash work area slash living area, basically the back part of the van. In our old van, we had a stationary bed. Is that what you call it? A stationary? It was always in bed mode. But for this one, hey Dad, come on, buddy. You want to come on? But for this one, we decided that we wanted to actually do the good old table sofa setup to bed conversion. And so far, I personally enjoy it a lot more than just having a stationary bed. So how this works is, in the day, we have this table and this U-shaped sofa. The table is on the lagoon leg, which a lot of van lifers have. I'll just slacken it off a little bit, and it just kind of like, it's still tight over here. That's what this bit is. So it's just on this lagoon leg, and it will just move around, so we can kind of move it. And we're doing work, la da 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 da, eating dinner. Everything on this. Gaydada's a little bit scared of it because she doesn't understand the floating table.
She actually freaks out about it a lot.
But yeah, it's been really handy just to move it around. We can get it completely out of the way over here and just have it all the way walking through to the back. And yeah, we've just been really enjoying having this as the table setup. And then at night, when it's time for bed, we will take this table off the leg, so it's just a piece of wood. And then it will slot onto these wooden rails, flips I think they're called, that you see all around here and behind me there. It will just slot onto those. Then in the front we have another one of these cushions that we just put up there out of the way while we're relaxing. That pops on top of this, makes a full bed. It's a little bit shorter than a normal size bed here, but it's fine for me, and Jacob is a weirdo and likes sleeping with his legs bent, so it works really well for him. And then lengthwise, like widthwise, it's like wider than a queen, so it is so comfortable. So once that cushion's in, this whole bit is now the bed, so I would be standing on the bed right now. And then we just take these, we don't have enough storage to store the bedding in the day, so we just fold it up nice here, but we just basically put this sheet over everything. There have these pillows, a duvet, and then as it's getting colder we do have a blanket, which is also up in the front, and that makes up the bed, and it is really, really comfortable. And then in the morning we just kind of do the opposite, take the table off, attach it to the leg, tidy up this area, fold away the bedding, and then we're back to daytime mode. So I've been really enjoying having this. It just makes it just easier to flow in the day and then have a comfortable space to sleep at night. But one of the plus sides of having the stable like fixed bed is that you have all of the storage underneath the bed, and we didn't want to lose too much of that. So we decided that we were still going to have storage underneath the bed. We actually never access it this way because, as you're probably about to see, it's a bit of a faff. But we can, if I just move this over there, can you still see?
Yeah.
We can lift these up and we have access to all of the stuff underneath the bed. We can do it on the back one and this one too. And yeah. So we have these, but usually we just access everything from the back, and I don't think we've actually lifted these up once while we've been in the van. But if we needed to, and if we needed to work on the electrics and the battery, we have easy access to doing that. So now above the bed area we have this lovely section. We made this window, well, we had the window put in by a professional in Leeds, and it just opens up like this. It's a bit stiff because we haven't opened it in a while because it's cold, but it just opens like this. I'm not sure if you can see, but there's an insect mesh thing there, and it just latches with this magnetic thing. Then we just built this little window frame around it. Again, more imperfections, you can see it doesn't quite fit in too great there, but we just covered it with this vine, and honestly I think it looks pretty fine. It does the job, and when you're living in here you just...
How about my offcut?
So when we were making this, we had to cut obviously just a square out of this backboard, and Jacob was cutting and he asked me to take a video of it. Actually, I'm going to find it and insert the video of him messing up around here. So he was cutting and he went completely past the line, which is why we have this wonderful extra bit here.
I'm just a pro.
But we'll probably cover that up with something. I also want to talk about this, maybe come around here so you can see a bit better. To make the bed a little bit wider, we actually decided to stop the cladding where the bed started and do this little indent. So this bit here has the insulation behind it, but not the cladding. So we were able to get a bit extra, and we did the same on the other side. So that gave us a little bit extra length on the bed. And even though it's just a small amount in the van, it just makes the world.
Every centimeter counts.
Yeah. So that's the windowsill. And then up here, we just got these little pouches from IKEA. Very recent addition actually, and we just keep books and stuff in there. And then we have another one on the back, and they've been really useful just to put miscellaneous bits that previously were just scattered kind of everywhere throughout the van. So now I am going to move on to the electrics. So up here we have our, like, I don't know what to call this, electric area part 1. We were going to build a cupboard over the top of this. We weren't intending to have it out on display, but as you can see, the wall is kind of like on a slant, and it would have been quite difficult to build the cupboard. And after it taking so long to build the van and COVID delays, we just really wanted to hit the road.
Another imperfection.
And honestly, it's not that big of a deal. Maybe at some point in the future we will build it. So let's get stuck into what's actually on here. So this is our Renogy MPPT 20 amp charge controller, and this connects directly to the solar panels that are on top of the van. We have two 200 watt solar panels, two 150 watt. I'm not sure how many watts, but we'll figure that out and put a little. But this Renogy thing, it came as one big pack, and they are connected to each other at the top. They are connected to each other in series, I believe it is, rather than parallel, just because that's the way that the kit came, and so far it's worked out really well. So this connects directly to them, and then this also then goes down and connects to the battery, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. The next bit we have on here is just this kill switch. We put this in, this kind of will kill the charge from the solar to this. I don't think we'll ever turn this off because I don't think you're supposed to ever like disconnect this from the solar, but we have it there just in case of an emergency. It's always better to be safe than sorry. And then up here we have the fuse box. This is like the really jumbly bit. Shout out to my stepdad who organized all of this in the electric and helped us with the electrics. But this is our 12 volt fuse box. So all of the 12 volt things, which are the lights, the fridge, the heater, the USB thing that's over there. I don't think anything else is 12 volt. They're all connected to this. Oh, the fan. They're all connected to this, and this is just the fuse box for them. And then we move on just to this little bit here. We just have a carbon monoxide detector, just because obviously we're cooking on a camping stove in here, and we have the diesel heater, so this is just a safety measure that we use there. And then the last thing on this board is actually the heater controller. It was also our clock, but this is basically just the controller for the diesel heater. You can turn it on and off here, set the temperature that you want. So yeah, that is our electricity board. And so this is the main bulk of the electrical components. We have two 290 amp hour batteries. We have two AGM batteries. one on this side, one on the other side, which you saw when I lifted that bit up earlier. Also underneath here we have this inverter, this big blue one. It is a Phoenix Victron Energy 1200. Then we have this little box here, it's just this white one here. If anything goes wrong with our mains, which is 240, this will just kill it. So we have another kill switch here that just turns off all electricity, so if something goes wrong we can just get rid of everything. And down in this corner, which you can't really see, we just have some bus bars. So we decided we wanted to have mains, outlets and a little USB one. So we have 3 of these throughout the van, one on either side of the bed, one just in the kitchen. And then in this corner underneath this little flap, we just have this small little USB outlet there. So we also have it set up where the alternator charges our batteries when we drive. So that is our electrical setup. We're Jacob and Louise and it's 3 PM and we haven't brushed our teeth yet.
And you fucking farted. Sicko.
Thought you wouldn't notice. Hello, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, you silly girl?
Hey, you can put this in the video technically because I'm not showing my penis.